Yeah, here's my trick. I always find you have to say something like totally absurd, just like get the juices going, this, that, the other, where it's just like, hi, my name is Mitch Mahar, and I'm 3 raccoons distracted in a trench coat. This morning I woke up with the finest bowl of cornflakes and diesel, and I am just ready to kick ass and take names.
Yeah, ready to just hit the fuel. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Whiskey in a Hammock. I'm Eric.
And I'm Chris. And the special edition today is we're at Corks and Barrels here in Fleming Island. And we have 2 special guests, Ingrid and Mitch from WhistlePig.
Some of the goats.
Dude, and we're doing something amazing today. So like we're doing the WhistlePig single malts?
Yeah, we're going to go over my single malts, and I might have a special treat tucked in the back before we end the podcast.
That sounds amazing. And that's the thing, it's like, WhistlePig isn't normally known for single malts, right? I mean...
No, so we're very famously a rye whiskey company, and then we've really started to branch into bourbons. But, I mean, you guys know, whiskey people tend to be whiskey people. We tend not to just, like, put ourselves into the tiniest little camps, like, we'll drink anything. I mean, I know as a distiller, I certainly will. So when we saw our opportunity to sort of step into the single malt world, we ran at it.
Not only did we run at it, we're like, hey, we're going to come out with a 21 to a 30 year. Like, we're going to stay away from the, 2 years.
I mean, so we're not going to start down here.
Yeah.
We're going to hit, the top right away.
But that's like true WhistlePig fashion, like come out high and come in low.
Exactly. With that being said, that's exactly what we're going to do. I mean,
Yeah.
We're going to start on the high end. So
on the high end, so we're starting with the 30?
Starting with the 30.
So part of that is, and Mitch will go over this, is that from a tasting perspective, we want to make sure that you taste all of the notes that we're talking about. And the 30 year in this portfolio is the most delicate flavor profile. So starting with this first will allow you to taste all the tasting notes and then going towards the more bolder in the series. Otherwise, you will not get all the speciality of this $5,000 bottle of whiskey.
Whoa. This is $5,000?
It is, yeah.
I mean,
It is the oldest single malt. Let's be fair. Rarest and oldest North American single malt, so.
No kidding.
Sorry.
Oh, well, thank you. So I will say, you sort of called it out where it's just like we're not known for single malts. And, although there are definitely some folks who are super whiskey savvy, I usually like to explain just a touch of single malts from a whiskey making perspective to sort of make sense of what we're tasting, right?
Okay.
So unlike most American whiskeys, single malt whiskeys, when you start with their production, they're mashing in, right?
Right.
In the United States, we love grain flavors, right? So when we mash in, we leave the grain in the mash tun, we take the wort and the grain husks, we put them into fermentation, we allow for in-fermentation with grain, and then we take all of that grain slurry and we put it into the still, right? Like we're keeping the maximum amount of grain contact that we possibly can. Single malts don't operate that way. Single malts actually follow sort of like the old adage for like beer, where it's like they want to separate out the grains from the wort, right? Or that nice sort of like sugary liquid that you get from the good mashing in process. So with that though, you end up getting something that tends to be a lot lighter, a lot more biscuity, and something that sort of, I hate the adage of like smoother, but like it tastes much more subtle on the palate than some of your sort of like American whiskey counterparts. Right?
Okay.
It also helps that this has been aged. Its initial 30 years of aging were all in second fill casks, right? So like you're also getting much subtler extraction over a longer period of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 90.4 proof. So just so you know, it's yay 10 a.m. But Mitch can walk you through, like, one, the process of why we're doing single malt. One, because we haven't distilled it. But also, like, the whole background of, so WhistlePig, of course, is known for finishing, and we're known for seasoning and creating innovation. And this is part of that innovation line, and really kind of, I always say that WhistlePig likes to meet people on where they are in their journey, and this is just like an additional journey to help people capture something new with casks that are from all over the world. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, well, you know what? Let's take a sip first, and then I'll explain. Because otherwise, I'm going to be staring at this longingly forever.
I know, I was waiting for you to go first because I didn't want to be the first one to dive in.
Right. That's
I
what I was waiting.
already talk about it.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. No, thank you guys.
Chris, thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, I love it. So right off the bat, you get this really nice, delicate, like almost like wheat bread crust, almost like little notes of like cinnamon pastry, and then that finish that you're getting that has that nice sort of like toasted almond, that marzipan. that is all the Vinsanto cask, right? So I'm sort of known as being a little bit of a wild child in the whiskey space. I mean, you look at Boss Hog and it sort of explains itself. Folks who make Vinsanto, in my eyes, are like the closest wine equivalent that they have in terms of me in their space, right?
Oh, yeah.
Vinsanto, the making of it, right? So when you harvest the grapes, every season they'll harvest the grapes. They'll let them dry out, typically in like a barn or an attic, where they will lose like close to 60% of their mass in water, right? So they'll concentrate those sugars in those grapes. They'll then take those like dried grapes, macerate it with a batch from the previous year to sort of like co-ferment over time. They will allow that fermentation usually to go on for at least a year or two, and then they'll leave it in a barrel for up to 3 years in an equally hot spaces where they were dried out, right?
This might be a really dumb question.
No.
But isn't grapes that dry out raisins?
Yeah. I mean,
It's a good way to
granted,
think of it, yes.
you're not wrong, granted, but if you saw these, you would recognize them as raisins. You'd be like, oh, those are just like shriveled grapes.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
They're
But I
not
mean,
fully,
no, you
they're
said
not
that.
fully
You're
dried
you're not
out.
wrong.
When
Yeah.
you
You're
said
not
that,
wrong.
that's what I immediately
Well,
just
right,
said attic
right.
or whatever full of raisins.
Yes, I mean, essentially,
Right,
you're not
right,
wrong.
right.
You're not wrong, but you end up getting like this really super nice, delicate. I associate Vinsanto with being like a nice sort of like, if you could have like a toasted honey with like toasted almond, marzipan. I also get a little bit of sort of like praline. But it is a absolute delight of a wine that the casks are nearly impossible to get your hands on.
Oh,
So
yes.
when I saw my opportunity to get Vinsanto casks, I was like, I know exactly what whiskey I want to put in those.
And you chose that out of all, what WhistlePig?
My goodness.
Well, let's be fair. This is the one that was chosen for this one.
Yes.
We WhistlePig will put anything in any cask as long as we have it. It's just a matter of which whiskey manifests itself the best in that cask.
But that seems like, I mean, is that like a crazy leap, or like, we're going to take this 30-year and put it in this, Vinsanto, barrel, and we'll see what it turns out like.
I mean, listen, as much as
Yes,
I
that's exactly the process.
there is an
We don't
aspect
put
of
a whole
throwing
barrel
caution.
though. We do it in small doses.
Oh, yeah, right. So small bet, and like, and it didn't spend that much time in that barrel either, right?
So no, it doesn't spend years in the barrel in terms of like its aging process. It is more of a finishing process. So I'm trying to remember now actually. So there were 4 of these casks. Their finishing times averaged out around like 8 to 10 weeks, right?
Okay.
So like enough to start to get some flavor impact, but like not enough to start getting sort of like microoxidative reactions where I would start to lose some of those Vinsanto notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always try to make things very colloquial for people to. So yesterday we tried this with someone and he was like, it tastes like wedding cake.
Ah.
So it's a good way of kind of giving a reference point, which is also great because weddings are elevated. But this is, so when we go through the rest of the single malts, you're going to see that there is a flavor profile that kind of goes through them. And that would be the base of like that tobacco and leather. But because of the Vinsanto casks, it's creating this wonderful expression, which goes to why I was saying we need to start with 30-year as we go through that. Because once it settles in, once you get that marzipan, that almondine, all of those toasted notes, then you can pick up those richer notes that are sitting in the back. But it takes like your second sip to get there. When it comes to WhistlePig and casks, he's not allowed to say it. I can say it because I don't have an NDA. Don't give me an NDA. That in all fairness, WhistlePig, we want to find out how our whiskeys go in every type of cask. So once we have something, it's a question of, do we want to put rye in there? Do we want to put wheat in there? Do we want to put a mix of wheat and rye? Do we want to do bourbon? Do we want to do now single malt? WhistlePig's goal is just to create so many different whiskeys and make sure that they're the best iteration. So will there be a rye aged in Vinsanto? Who knows? They may already have it sitting. And because of that, it gives us the ability to say, hey, you know what? This was actually the best expression of a whiskey that comes out of this. However, how many times can you use the Vinsanto casks?
So I've used one cask twice, but I try to really just use them once.
Well, and they're not very big, right?
No, so they're not exceptionally large. Like most people, when they think of sort of like foreign import wines, they're picturing, like port
Yeah.
Right.
barrels, which are huge, 500-liter barrels. Like, no, these are not of that scale. I mean, granted, one of mine was a 228-liter, which is nice. It's a little bit bigger than a standard American cask, but like for the most part, these are not big casks. You are correct.
Okay.
So Vinsanto's a Tuscan dessert wine, so it's not as like super appellation specific like Champagne can be in this, that, the other.
Oh yeah, so it's not like what Cognac, Armagnac.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, as much as I love Cognac and Armagnac, like I really, as someone who gets to experience a lot of freedom in creating whiskeys and cask work and this, that, the other, I feel a little bad for my friends across the pond who are very railroaded in what they can and can't do.
Oh yeah.
Because man, some of the flavors they could get to if we could collaborate for a day, and like it's just like, hey, if you just want to like bring a few thousand gallons of cognac over to the United States, like we can play together. We can play together.
You heard it.
But no, it's so funny. So one of the things that I really like about Italy overall, especially with wine, is that like, even the United States, like we have very specific wine growing regions. Mm-hmm. Italy, top to bottom, left to right, all of it grows wine. Yep. I think the last time someone tried to put in a good faith effort to figure out how many like grape varietals they have over like, I think it's like 20,000 individual, easily identifiable grape varietals.
Oh, wow.
So like they are like the last holdout for like wine innovation as far as I'm concerned. And so like when I saw my opportunity to get Vinsanto cast and work with them, I was like, oh yeah, let's go.
How did you figure out, like, when did you hear of Vinsanto casks?
So part of that is way back in my day in a previous life, while I was in college and just sort of like, being a piece of crap kid, I worked at a liquor store, right? It was a great spot for me to, one, get plenty of booze, but two, I could fit in shifts between classes and this, that, the other. But they had an incredible wine catalog. Mm-hmm. And so, I just befriended some of the older wine salesmen there and like just being like, hey, explain this to me. Why is this different than this, that, the other? Mm-hmm. And then just like really starting to fall in love with the idea of like the histories of wine, like what makes them all different, their varietals, how they're made, so on and so forth. And so it just sort of like was a positive feedback loop of me experiencing these new wines and tasting these new things, being like, well, all right, hang on, how do I get there? Right.
Can you speak to why it's 90.4 proof?
Well, right, because like you said, if you only had like 4 barrels, and like why isn't like 120 proof?
Right. Well, so
Cast
here's the trick, right? And so like, granted, most Americans, their understanding of whiskey comes from Kentucky, right?
Right.
But in terms of how barrels mature and the proof that you're left with, it's, to really truncate it down, it's basically a relationship between temperature and humidity, right? So Kentucky has high temperatures and high humidity, which means that in terms of how their barrels mature, they can actually evaporate out water faster than they can evaporate out ethanol in their barrels. Vermont does not have that same climate. Although I can get into the triple digits for like maybe a week, universally I'm a much lower temperature with a far lower humidity.
Right.
With that being said, I typically will evaporate out ethanol out of my casks faster than I can evaporate out water. So, the idea of like, oh, we went into the rick house, we pulled out like a 135 proof cask. I will never get to experience that. My casks will only ever go down in proof.
And that's one thing that's interesting, is I've never even thought about that before, because then you hear about the angel share, and especially like, in places like Colorado, where they, they have no loss, practically no angel share because of the no humidity and things like that. So I never even thought about that aspect, that where if you're not getting that, the water evaporating, that you're left with. So you're not going to have the high proof. I've never even heard of that before. That's the first time I'm hearing that. You can, honestly, in those other states with with the colder climates, that you're not going to get that higher proof out of it, which is interesting. So I thought that just happened everywhere.
I know. Well, that's exactly it. Like, for the many years, like we've really only had like the one geographic data point for whiskey, and now that we're seeing all these distilleries pop up in different parts of the country, we're like, oh, hang on, the relationship we thought we had with this was not what we thought. Like, it doesn't play out the same way.
Right.
So, like, imagine Florida. Obviously, we have people producing bourbon in Florida, and I always joke around, but there's truth to it, that the stuff ages in dog years. Because of our humidity factor, because of the heat that we have, and because these are mostly non-air conditioned spaces that they're keeping stuff in, you'll find within 18 months that whiskey has peaked. Whereas that same amount of whiskey would be a 4 or 6 years sitting in Kentucky, just because of our cycles here. And in all fairness, going back to angel share, the less whiskey in the barrel, the more expensive it is when it comes out.
Of course.
So you'll see the producers trying to pull it out sooner. So sometimes people say, oh, well, this tastes young, but it is young. It's just that if they hadn't pulled it out, there would have been no whiskey left in that barrel.
So then, like, should you be saying that on camera? Because then everybody's be moving to Florida to age whiskey faster, right?
Maybe. Doesn't, again, age and all that stuff doesn't necessarily mean your whiskey's better. But there are definitely like production costs, and for us to have a 30-year whiskey means somebody 30 years ago thought that this was going to be great. And our single malts are that sit down, enjoy, have the company around you, smoke a cigar. You're not meant to do shots of it. No. Look, if you want to do shots with your whiskey, do whatever you want.
We can't stop.
We're not going to tell you no.
We can tell you
also,
no, but
depletions. But like, if this is, it's meant for you to enjoy what you're doing and to be present and to sit with it for a while. So it is kind of hard to say like, hey, let's move on to something else. But we've got more to show.
Yeah,
no, it's incredible. This is incredible. And I love it. It sits on my tongue for a little bit. Like it just stays around for the party.
And it seems like a single malt. I haven't tasted another single malt like this. I haven't tasted anything that's like
I don't think I've ever had a 30 or anything anyway. So this is all new to me.
Do you want to talk about the differentiation between a 30-year Scotch versus a 30-year North American single malt?
So this comes back to the conversation we were just having before about having more data points for more types of whiskey now globally, right? So for the longest time, everyone associated single malts entirely with Scotland, even though we're pretty good distillers ourselves over here on this side of the pond. And you're also seeing single malts.
They would debate that greatly.
Listen, we're also seeing single malts come up in places like Thailand and India. So like there's overall, turns out people like whiskey everywhere.
There's one of the issues with people in the Scotch world is that people are like, I stay away from Scotch because I don't like peat. Well, cool, there's a ton of unpeated ones.
It's like, cool, there's 3 other regions you could easily go for, arguably 4 if you want to, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to get a whiskey apocalypse, but.
It's funny because that's the first thing I thought of today was single malt, and I was like,
Oh, you thought you were going to have fun today.
But there was no smoky, no heat, and that's it. Like she said though, it's just like ingrained in my head, single malt heat.
But so, and honestly, this is one of the reasons why I was glad to sort of like hop into this arena, right? Like, we can showcase something totally different that people aren't accustomed to seeing, right? I mean, quite frankly, that's sort of like the original mythos of WhistlePig overall, right? Like, rye whiskey was essentially a dead category before my predecessor, Dave Prickroll, brought it back. Like, he showcased that, like, you can have way more depth of flavor, like, it can be an incredible whiskey drinking experience. But you need to get over the stigma that like, oh no, rye whiskey is something my grandpa drank. Once you shake free of that though, your palate opens up and your world opens up, and like there's so many more possibilities.
Well, it's also that's the importance of having brand ambassadors and having your distillers come out and doing all those shows that we do is to help people understand that your muscle memory or the ideas that you have of things. Like sometimes I'll taste people on this and I will not say that it's a malt at all because I want them to tell me what they're getting out of it so that they don't have that reaction. And it happens in the rye space all the time where people are like, I don't like rye. And then I'm like, all right, here, try piggyback. And they're like, I love this. And I'm like, well, then you clearly like rye. It's 100% rye. But a lot of it is marketing, a lot of it is the ideas that they've put in people's heads, or they've had a bad experience, or someone else has had a bad experience, or maybe whatever they tried, they just associate everything with. Exactly. We had that last night. Someone, not a rye drinker, tried 12 year and was like, oh my God, I love this. And we're like,
welcome.
What was the point, friend?
I tell everyone, if you don't have a favorite whiskey, that just means you haven't drank enough whiskey. The best way to learn about whiskey is to continuously try different whiskeys, but also do it in the way that we're doing it right now, which is we want to keep your palate fresh. We want to make sure that you're going to taste what you have. So as you're drinking, like, don't start at a whiskey festival with peated Scotch and then expect to be able to taste Irish whiskey at the end. Like, it's not going to work that way for you.
Yes.
We've gone to events where I've seen that, where even in the WhistlePig family, when people have, hey, I want to start with this one, I'll specifically tell them, like, no, you don't. Like, start here, otherwise you're going to destroy your palate. Like, for instance, Smokestock.
Yep. Oh, Smokestock. What a fun experiment that was.
That was the one with Traeger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of Thanksgivings ago, I injected my turkey with some WhistlePig Smokestock.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I basted it in that too. And then I used the Traeger Smokestock pellets. And it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah.
And then we drank
I mean-
smokestack while we were eating my
There you go.
smokestack turkey.
I will say smokestack, granted, I think whiskey should not just exist in like an exclusively beverage space. Like I think it should exist in the culinary space as well. And both in terms of like cocktail crafting and cooking, smokestack is a fun ingredient to work with because like it delivers flavors that like you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah. I say whenever someone came up to my table, they'd be like, "What's this taste like? A barbecue pork rib?" And I'm like, no, they don't. And I was like, "Oh yeah, wait." I was like, at whiskey festivals, they come around. I was like, "No, do this one last." They're like, "Why?" I was like, "Everything's gonna taste like barbecue pork rib."
Right.
So one of the things I do want to point about the single malts, which you actually said, like our tops are very heavy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you what's on it, but look it up, and we actually have a motto that goes across the top.
No way.
That is, it's Latin, right?
Gosh, I hope so. Granted,
It might be
I'm a
marketing
little
Latin.
rusty. I'm a
Yeah.
little rusty here, but
But
Your
yeah.
Latin's rusty.
So like, and our box,
Surprise.
we always, WhistlePig always puts like
absolutely.
Easter eggs and things, and we're always kind of trying to do fun stuff. So even like within all the box work and everything on the inside, there's little tidbits of information so that collectors can look at it and be like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And then our marketing team loves it because they'll get emails like, I also want to say that the 30-year was called the Big Shebang.
Oh, that's right.
However, this one by far has the best name in our single malt.
so welcome to WhistlePig 25, Badonkadonk.
That sounds so fancy.
But Duncan.
Now, yes, it is definitely a Pinky's Out name.
It was great launching it. So, go ahead, tell us what this is.
So this is my 25-year expression. So same base malt that we had in 30, right? So at this time, we're going to see one, just how much aging affects sort of like the either robustness or softness of a whiskey, but then in true WhistlePig fashion, like you're going to see how finishing casks really impart very different tasting dynamics into the whiskey itself.
This one noses quite different than the 30 year.
Oh yeah,
There's a
so
very specific reason for that.
I was about to say, so the finishing cask for this is Alexander Valley Cabernet Sauvignon barrels from Silver Oaks.
Oh.
So, we got an opportunity to work with the folks out in Silver Oak, and we were super thrilled to be able to do this collaboration with them.
I'd like to note they approve the name.
They did. We didn't sneak this one under the radar. All above board.
Right.
No, but so those Alexander Valley cab casks are giving you like this really nice, subtle. I think of it as like almost like a cherry jam or like cherry preserve, but it also has like a little bit of like bright acid in there, almost like very similar to like a raspberry. All the while still having that nice sort of light biscuity, sort of like pastry note that we had gotten from the single malt before in terms of the 30-year. Like that still carries through even at a younger age statement.
So I mean, and this is what proof is this? This it seems like it has just a little bit longer finish on this one than the.
So it did have a slightly longer finish. It's proof just a touch higher at 91.
So WhistlePig in the WhistlePig lexicon, the 90 proof range. So if you think of like over 15 years or 18 years, they sit at 92. That to us is what we call sipping proof. So these, when they came out, the 92 was too high. And so putting them all between that 91, 90 area seems to be bringing out the best characteristics in us and making that whiskey be the most palatable. You're going to find that this doesn't have any type of super heavy bite in the back, that it's just subtle all the way through. Yeah. And that's going to be the entire single malt line. Again, going back to that, enjoy it with cigars, sit with it for a while. The Silver Oak on this was really interesting in that, of course, this came out after 21, and having them back to back, you can showcase the wine finish on this so well. And for people who understand Silver Oak, they will get it immediately. And on the nose, like you said, this nose is so differently. That's the wine.
Well, so I need to go out and buy a bottle of Silver Oak. I need to buy a bottle of Vino Santo, right?
Vinsanto, yes.
Vinsanto?
Yeah, you'll realize why this is a $2,000 bottle of whiskey. And we've done this with a lot of our Boss Hogs as well, is where, for instance, when we came out with Umeshu, people were like, what is Umeshu? Like, what is WhistlePig doing?
Yeah.
And we actually traveled around with a bottle of Umeshu so that when you drank that, then you drank the whiskey, you carried through, your muscle memory now knew what you were looking for.
Right.
So you saying, like, I had a Cabernet last night, so as soon as I tasted it, it brought me back to what I was doing, is actually what you're supposed to do. Is like, if I say to you that this tastes like something and you've never tasted it before, you have no point of reference on what you're trying to get at.
Right.
Definitely. Right.
That's why I say your tasting palate's never wrong. It's just based on what you've tried.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I enjoy this one quite a
Do you
lot.
guys
Also-
understand why we did 30-year first now?
Right? Yeah, that 5 years of differential in terms of aging, like this is a more robust malt profile.
Wait till we get to 21.
Granted, I'm not supposed to have a favorite child, and I don't have a favorite child. Let this be known.
But you do.
Man,
This is the favorite single malt child. Yeah.
Well, so I crushed 21. I know that's I'm using old beer vernacular here, but like there's just something so readily approachable and readily drinkable. And granted, I love 30. 30 is great. I love the Vinsanto cast. I think it's delightful. It's delicate. But like, I would bring a bottle of 21 to Thanksgiving, where it's like, unless you're my best friend, I'm not cracking open 30 for you. Like, you can go buy it.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Well, it's a really good point to bring, like with 30-year, how I said it was like, it tastes like a wedding cake. You would have it at a wedding. You would have it in this celebratory moment. Now, mind you, drink whiskey whenever you want.
Right.
If you want to drink 30-year every night, go right ahead.
I mean, celebrate life. Let's be real.
Celebrate.
Of course. Yeah,
But
of course.
there is, and in this is WhistlePig in generality. Like, there's a reason we start at $49.99 and now go to $4,999. Is that it's like they all fit different times of your life, different experience. Like, WhistlePig has something for every major milestone or every day on a Tuesday. Mind you, don't become alcoholics. But it's the series that we have, and doing it in the order that we're doing it is showcasing, like, hey, this you can have at a wedding. This you can have when your friends are coming over. Maybe you just became a partner in a law firm. But it gives everyone something. And when we talk later about, like, the other partnerships that we have, the Boss Hogs that this gentleman makes, like, there's purpose behind all of them. There's an intentionality of trying to get people to create their own moments in whiskey.
No, and then at least it's interesting. So like that, the 30 years of wedding, the 25 is more like a Thanksgiving. So then, what is 21?
The 21 is Thanksgiving. This is
21,
more
so
like
25?
Christmas.
Oh, this is more Christmas. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes
So in
sense.
other
That
words,
makes sense.
In the
Well, I mean, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Like I say, I mean, I almost get like bread pudding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that, and that's that weediness that he was talking about in the back, and that toasted biscuit, which is funny because if you say toasted biscuit in the South, you get a very different response than toasted biscuit in the North. And don't ever try to say it in the UK; they completely give you a different response because you do get a shortbread.
I mean, so you do get it. So I always think of it as like a sort of a pastry, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something that's like a little bit lighter, a little bit flakier, like
Fluffy.
exactly.
It's like a French pastry made properly.
All right. Oh,
Lots of butter.
listen, she's biased. American pastry chefs love you.
Depends on the pastry.
Nope.
I was
That makes
gluten-free
sense.
for a long time. Don't judge.
You can move on to the 21.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Amazing.
Is that behind me?
What?
No,
Nope,
I
got it,
think
I got
it's
it.
tucked over here.
All right, I will very carefully put this one
We'll,
away.
I like how each box is so much different too.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Different but the same. So
Right.
if you from a space like a shelf spacing perspective, you'll notice that they are all the same like box. The
Right.
clasps are different, the
Yes.
insides are different. That goes to WhistlePig putting in all those little tidbits into the collectability of our whiskey. Like
Oh, yeah.
WhistlePig is the world's most collectible whiskey. Part of that is because of the different Boss Hogs that we have that exist out in the world. As we've gone iteration to iteration, they've gotten more expensive. But like when we're looking at our single malts, we wanted to make sure to give the collectors something that was completely different. And as this grows in the WhistlePig family, as you know, one Boss Hog is completely different than another
Right.
one.
Yeah.
Our single malts are all completely different from each other. As we go through and start building on the single malt line, they're all going to be different and have that note to it.
Well, so the same thing with
No rush,
the,
no rush,
we
no
said
rush.
with the Boss Hog, it's like, even the toppers are different. You know, each bottle, right?
Oh yes.
You have your
that's-
Boss Hog 9, there's 9 different toppers.
But now this, what I've seen is that this is supposed to be the last in the series, right? You know, the 30.
Oh, no.
21, 25, and 30.
I can neither
But is it
confirm
just-
nor deny the presence of
This is
other
correct.
single malts that
like
I may
said,
be holding on
no,
to.
Right, so then, I read that, and then I just heard Ingrid say, like, oh yeah, like, what's the single malts? And that's why we're still going with single malts. Like, oh, you are.
Oh.
So
Oh,
WhistlePig's
yes,
goal
yes.
is to be the best premium whiskey brand on and for the planet. So we are staying in our space, which is great because I call vodka the soy of the spirit world. The point of this is that right now, it's the oldest, rarest whiskey. there is nothing that says that we can't experiment in higher age statements, lower age statements, or no age statements. The greatest joy of working in the whiskey space and being WhistlePig within itself is we're not constrained by any type of variation. We're now in the bourbon world. We legitimately just opened our tasting room in Kentucky. He was there. It was great. Also, everyone should go.
Wow.
Go visit.
Okay.
Yeah. The whiskey can be something to everybody. So, maybe there'll be a 40-year-old. I mean, WhistlePig's almost old enough to drink itself.
This is true.
Right.
This is true.
Now,
Speaking of being old enough to drink yourself, 21.
that was like a layup. I was like,
Well
take it
done.
and run, Mitch.
Well done.
Perfect.
No,
guys
so
planned that.
this was our.
No, but we're gonna we are absolutely gonna show that to marketing.
So this was my opening expression into the single malts world,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So this was our very first sort of like, hey, WhistlePig's taking on single malts, like kicking in the door, being like, this is what we're about. So once again, I'm using the exact same mash bill as the other two, right? So this is 9 years younger than the 30, 4 years younger than the 25. And then the specialty cask work that I did in this in terms of finishing is our very own 10-year rye barrels,
Oh.
right?
The OG.
The OG. In terms of having a first foray into single malts, we thought it'd be a nice nod to include our first
Sure.
foray into whiskey.
Right, and like I can't think of one single malt that's finished in a rye barrel.
Not yet. But that doesn't mean that other brands aren't bringing it out.
Yeah.
WhistlePig tends to lead the charge in a lot of the finishes that we have. Going all the way back to our 12-year, like we were the first people to really put single finishes out there to do this type of blending process. We want other brands to copy this because the more people that learn about single malt, the better it is for the whiskey community as a whole. Maybe not at the 21-year age statement or price point, like this one sits between $800 and $1,000. But we want people to start replicating what we're doing so that whiskey drinkers can start understanding that, one, it's here to stay. The U.S. has now officially done their TTB rules around single malts.
Right.
All the major distilleries are moving into that single malt space. And Mitch, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but part of it is that a lot of the distillers are coming from brewing. So they actually understand how to work with this grain as opposed to just working with your corn, your wheat, and all that. So you're going to see an explosion in the single malt because it's just an opportunity to expand. So right now, we're the only ones aged in rye, but there's readily available aged in rye, but there are others that exist.
Okay.
Well, I was about to say, there are others that exist even in the world of single malts. However, Scotland for the longest time did not opt to call out rye as a finishing cask. They would usually just say like an American whiskey cask, which to most international folks, they're just like, oh, that's bourbon.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, man.
You want to talk about how hard it is to sell rye in the U.S.? Try to sell rye
Oh
in
my
Europe.
gosh. I remember the very first time I was in
Europeans
Paris
like rye?
trying to talk about rye whiskey. I'm like, all right, so like rye. And then like I had to like work through a translator to like be like rye, and it's like wheat. It's like no. And it's like, and then like I had to like find rye bread to be like rye.
Taste this, drink this.
This is the connecting tissue.
And that, let's go back to it, is part of it is that the American whiskey that they get over there is nowhere near the collection that we get over here. So they're familiar with like the big brands, like so Jack Daniels, maybe they have some Woodford, some Sazerac out there. So their idea of American whiskey as a category is what they've had the privilege of having.
Right.
Because in Scotland, Scotch is Scotch. In Ireland, that's Irish whiskey.
Right.
So they assume American whiskey should be the same. And that's where we, as American whiskey, are not. Bourbon, one thing.
Right.
American whiskey as a totality can go the gamut of anything that...
Well, right. So you have the bourbon, you have whiskey, you have rye, you have light whiskey, which
Oof. You have wheat, you have millet,
Right,
you
wheat,
have...
yes.
if it's
like
a grain...
four grain.
Four grain, yeah.
Yes.
So we're actually lucky in the U.S. that we have so much experimentation going on. It does exist in the other countries, but to a much, much smaller scale, and not normally what we're going to get here in the U.S. Like, you'd have to go to those countries to try all the different variants that they're doing over there.
Okay, and so now what proof is this?
Isn't it?
Oh, that's right. We're drinking whiskey. What am I doing?
Yeah.
We're on our third shot
So
of
this
whiskey
is
at 10:30 in the morning.
this is at 92 proof. right?
92 proof,
So
okay.
of my single malts, this is the highest octane, if you will.
I'm going to note, though, one of the reasons why, though, is because it's also the youngest. So as he went back earlier and said
Yep.
that as it's aging, it's bringing...
Right.
There's a nose on this one that I just can't figure out. It's very familiar, and I can't. I can't. Well, I mean, I think it's. I just come in. It came to me.
It's so sultry. Not gonna lie, this is one of the
it's
most
so good.
sultry
You know what I
whiskeys.
get? There is, granted, I still associate with pastry, but this is more dough, right? Like it's like the freshly kneaded expression, not like fresh out of the oven, not bakery, piping hot with butter, this, that, the other, but like it's
like
as
right
you're
when you get done
kneading the
kneading it,
dough.
yeah,
Exactly,
right.
exactly. That is how I associate it, and I think that's what you're getting.
There's some. Yeah, it's.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very different.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that might be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But then by utilizing the 10-year rye casks, you really do get, especially on the palate, you get this nice, like, absolute baking spice explosion.
Yep.
Well,
right?
for me, it's
So
odd because,
good.
like, take the initial sip, it kind of sits on your tongue, and like, you get a little bit of flavor, and then, like, finish, and all of a sudden, it kind of comes back.
The finish, like,
Yeah,
really pops.
It came back all of a sudden, like, whoa, it's coming
Yeah.
back on you. I was like, oh. And you said baking spices.
Yep.
And you get a little bit
Yeah.
of, wow.
Well, that would be rye. So the easiest way to explain how rye tastes is to incorporate the idea of baking spice, because we as Americans understand that, especially when it was pumpkin spice latte season.
Right.
We get cinnamon, clove, but if you say them individually, most people don't understand how putting them all
yeah.
together creates that flavor profile. So rye in general will give you that, but then when you're finishing that in the single malt, that's when you're getting the single malt variations coming out here. So what I love is everyone always, whenever I serve a WhistlePig, they're like, oh, it tastes like maple. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Oh my
This
God.
one actually does have a maple flavor profile in it. So it gave me the opportunity to be like, you're right. Yes, absolutely. Vermont maple. Yes, of course. It goes hand in hand. But do you see why we said that this is like the Thanksgiving one? This is,
yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
so enjoyable. It is extraordinarily sultry. This one is known as the Beholden. Because, bees. When this first came out, it harbors back to who we are. So we entered into the single malt world, but we did it in a very WhistlePig way by making sure that it was finished in the rye casks. And Mitch can speak to like why we chose to do that, but also from a marketing perspective, it definitely makes it a transition that we can take rye drinkers into.
Well, right.
Yeah.
It's like, if you like this finished in rye, try our rye, and try all the WhistlePigs.
Yeah, or even the reverse of that, right? Where it's like, I know WhistlePig, I know what they do, but like I don't really mess around with single malts all that often. This is the bridge, right? This is like, hey, you still get some of the nuance you've come to know and love and expect from us, right? But like we're gonna bring you into this new arena and like show you what it's about, right?
Yeah.
And then from here you build up into the 25 and the 30 and other expressions that may or may not be coming in the future.
Moving into the single malt space, it only makes sense that we've now taken those old world, new world, and kind of mashed it together.
Yeah, right. No, I said that was good.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
This one makes me
God, you
realize
guys drink so fast.
why we went 30 to 21.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it. But anyway, thank you. Huge shout out to Corks and Barrels for letting us come out here today. Located in Fleming Island, right by the movie theater.
Yep.
And yeah, this place is amazing. So if you guys can come out, come to Corks and Barrels, help support them. They have an amazing lineup. They also have WhistlePig here. And yeah.
Well, and big thanks to Mitch and Ingrid for coming out.
Dude, Mitch had a choice between Vermont and Florida.
Oh, yeah,
It was an easy choice to make this time of year, let me be real.
It's a privilege. So thank you so much for
appreciate it.
letting
Good
us
whiskey with good
do
friends.
this.
It's a very simple motto, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, leave with the motto: may the wind always sway your hammock, may your glass never go dry. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure. All right.
Alright. Now on to 105.4 proof.
All right, for those of you who stuck around, we have something special. So not only did we do the whole lineup of the single malt, Mitch and Ingrid brought something unique and different.
I'm gonna let him talk about this. This is his baby.
I mean, so listen, if you could please pull from behind curtain number one.
What is it?
So
I can't wait.
You know, WhistlePig can't show up without at least
oh my.
doing a quick little tasting of the Boss Hog.
Oh,
So
look at that.
this, of course,
Very
is
fan of you. Good
our. It's our biggest innovation project of the year. Every edition of Boss Hog is wildly different from the previous iterations. And so this is Boss Hog Feather and Flame. It is a Boss Hog inspired by two different sort of Mesoamerican beverage traditions. One being pulque. Pulque is a wild fermented agave sap. It is known for being a little sweet, but also having a really cool funk to it due to both wild airborne yeast and natural bacteria within the maguey agave itself.
You said pulque?
Pulque is what it's
Pulque.
called. I know, and you're like, well, hang on, how come I never heard of pulque? So pulque typically will ferment, some of the fastest fermenting pulque will ferment in like 3 days, but will usually expire in like 2.
If you
Right.
haven't
Oh.
been to Mexico, you probably have never heard of it.
Exactly.
Nope.
I
I've
want
never
to
heard
have
of it.
one call out here. There is this wonderful little thing that we have in there called our hog collar. If you do buy a bottle, push up. That way it'll get out. Otherwise, you will get it stuck in.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's something. Like, WhistlePig has been working on boxes for a long time, and we've now finally perfected it so it doesn't fall out when you do the tabernacle.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
The tagline for
take
Boss
that.
Hog 12
That's yours.
is called
Thank you.
Feather and Flame
course.
is our
Okay.
name. So you know we always name our things. But like we were joking, like two Aztek gods walk into a bar. What happens? If you do get it and you look on the box, I was showing you earlier, like the box has the entire story on the back. But WhistlePig, of course, loves to make things fun and exciting. So we also have this codex that you're going to see on the front of the box.
Yeah,
Oh,
so the
yeah.
front of the box, there's actually 12 different panels of that codex. So depending on which box you get, which version of Boss Hog you get, since they're all technically single barrel expressions, right? So like you'll see across the nation, there'll be slightly different proof variations, so on and so forth. But you'll see 12 different boxes that each show sort of like the story of two Aztec deities walk into a bar.
That's awesome.
Specific finish.
Yes.
Talk about what Boss Hog is to the WhistlePig family.
So Boss Hog
I like it so
is-
much.
You tasted it already?
Yeah, I did.
You dove in?
Sorry, I don't.
I can't blame you. I'm not mad.
You feel like a kid.
No, but so Boss Hog is our biggest innovation project every single year. We try to build this out to be the most, not even just the most unique rye drinking experience you've had of that year, but the best whiskey drinking experience you can have every single year comes out. And we like to use this as an opportunity to really sort of like push the boundaries of what people consider whiskey to be and where those limits actually lie. And so historically we will look at different cuisines, specialty finishing casks, specialty spirits or wines or what have you to showcase, hey, whiskey can do a lot more than like a lot of folks are giving it credit for. And like we want to push every single button to showcase like we can do really cool things with whiskey and like there's more ground to be covered.
Yeah.
Right.
My favorite rule about Boss Hog is that it will always be something that's never been done before. WhistlePig has a 12-year barrel program. Again, we'll put anything in a barrel. Yeah, ask Megan. She was like, well, I'll try anything. I love to say that not all whiskey comes out great, but we still drink it.
Oh, of
It's fine.
course. Well, it's
So you can
experiment.
only imagine that for us to create a Boss Hog, and this is the biggest challenge that Mitch and our team up there has, is that we're literally competing against ourselves to continuously come up with new things.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Which brings us to the point of pulque. So, go
Brings us to
ahead.
the point of pulque. So,
Pulque is like, I've never heard of it.
Quick summation. So, wild fermented agave, it's not Blue Weber. It's made with maguey agave, so totally different agave species. Wild fermented, so has a really cool sort of like funky element to it. Like it tastes to me like it's lightly sweet, but also has like this very sort of like honestly almost reminds me of like cheese rind, right? Like it has that kind of funk
Oh, okay,
to
right.
it.
Funk.
Well, you know, the same thing about the distiller, like you find out that a lot of distillers don't want wild yeast because it can taint their whole batch, right?
Oh yeah. So
There's no guarantee it's going
Right,
to
right,
be
'cause it's
standardized.
I was about to say.
Right, because like, you know, I did a whole deep dive, like, where does yeast come from?
Everywhere.
Oh
yeah,
man!
everywhere. It's just,
Listen,
just follow
if we had 6 hours together, I would fall down that rabbit hole with you because it's fun.
Hey, you bring the
By
whiskey.
that he means
You bring the whiskey, we'll do
3
it.
days, by the way. 3 days. Yeah.
No, but so we saw an opportunity to, like, one, showcase pulque, but then two, bring in another Mesoamerican beverage tradition that we really like to highlight, which is Xocotal, or like ancient Aztec hot chocolate, right? So like that high concentration cacao with wonderfully spicy chili peppers, right? So what we did is, up in Vermont, I made my own pulque. That I fermented. I then infused that with an ungodly amount of cacao nibs. Ask my finance team. And then I also infused that with guajillo, chiltepin, and pasilla peppers to give you this nice, deeper, slightly chocolatey, slightly smoky, nice sort of like firecracker pop of heat with a nice sort of like mellow acid, but also like subtle fruitiness. And so by combining all of those elements, we get what's in the glass here.
I'm so you're like you're sitting in your office or whatever, and you're like,
What
these
do we
3
do?
chilies that I've never heard of. I think, yeah.
You probably have
that
them, you
sounds
just
good.
don't know that you've had
And
them.
then cacao, yeah.
And then pulque.
Yeah, screw it. Yeah, throw these all together and see what happens. Like how?
I like
I mean,
how
you-
in
you-
your world, like I can see in your mind, you're picturing this being like Mitch just being like, "Hi, finance, it's me again."
Have you guys ever had like Mexican hot chocolate?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah, the basis. The
it's a
idea.
better way to kind of like
Yes.
let's bring this all back to something that people have had before.
Yeah.
So it's like a spicy hot chocolate. It's just that it's whiskey.
But-
And 105.4 proof.
And like a lot
Right.
of people have done like
Casual.
that whole
Casual.
Yeah, the whole spiciness to the whiskey, but like you said, that's done very well. But you said it's just subtle, where like you just get the flavors in it, and it's not like overpowering. It's
Well, that's a trick, right? Because like
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
single Boss Hog needs to highlight the rye whiskey that is
Correct.
the center, right? Like I never want this to turn into like a flavored whiskey, right? This needs to highlight the fact that this is a 13-year-old straight rye whiskey, right? But I want to give it a team to play with to give it a whole other aspect of flavor that it by itself couldn't achieve, right?
Yeah.
And so between that pulque, those cacao nibs, and then those chili peppers, like you do get, I mean, that rye, the classic baking spice is the first thing that gets your palate. You do get a nice touch of that residual sweetness, a little bit of that pulque funk, but there's that lovely undercurrent of the cacao nibs,
Yep.
like from start to finish. And then it's really on the finish that you start getting a little bit
Right
of
here.
that heat, right?
Yeah.
So you get it there. I start to feel it actually in my chest, and then for me it
just
radiates
opens,
up,
yeah.
back up to my palate.
So going back to what you said about subtle, that's 100% your own tasting palate. For the simple reason that that heat that we're talking about, where
Yeah.
I get it here, he gets it here, depending on where you are in your heat palette, meaning
Right.
how much spicy food you have, how used you are to eating chilies, that will come out stronger. So chocolate, everybody gets, that
Right.
is 100% through it, but that subtleness is only based on your own personal palate. Like I have seen people drink this that this is super, super hot to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
but if that's not your palate, again, it's hard for you to understand
Yeah.
how somebody else would get this. So this is so wonderful when you're in a larger group because you can see the faces of people change as they drink it,
right.
and you can tell who's like, oh, you don't eat hot food. We get it.
well, and like you said, it's like for me, it's on the sides of my tongue. Where
Yeah.
I can feel the heat, like you know, not the alcohol. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's the spicy heat.
The right
See,
here.
I got it on the back of my tongue. Yeah.
Well, yeah, see, I got it on the sides, so I can still feel just the lingering heat. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's just, like I said, it's interesting.
Now take a
I've
second.
never
Sip.
had.
It builds. That's one of the best part about this whiskey is that as you sip through it, that
It
you know
builds.
it's supposed to be there, but it actually builds. It's as if it wants to tell you that it's there.
Oh, then I need more in my glass.
No, this is incredible. This is I did a weird happy dance thing on my first sip. So yeah,
It's recorded.
it is. It's for everybody to see for always.
So in true WhistlePig fashion, Boss Hog is always something we haven't done. We have very specific rules about it. Like has to have cask strength, has to be like the most stupendous thing that we do, but that's obviously left up to interpretation. But some of the tidbits of Boss Hog are our tops. So as you guys know, our mascot is Winston Churchill as a pig. That's why he's called Winston. But what we've done here is we do a lot of work to make sure that we're capturing the essence of the whiskey. So in true form, this is going to be an Aztek god and pig. We work with Danforth Pewter in Middlebury to make sure that the little details, we can't really show it too much on camera, but when you look at it, make sure that you turn the bottle and you look all around it. You'll see we have the WP. He's got the cutest little tail. We've done a lot of work to showcase how much work went into it, which is Mitch and Megan all day. And then, of course, like what we're doing for our consumers and giving them just this collectible series that really, if anyone has all 12, first of all, congratulations. Because most people in the world are looking for 1 through 3. If you have it, I could use a 1. The best part about it is if you do ever get the opportunity to come up to Vermont, I do highly recommend that you do go visit Danforth Pewter because they can show you how they go through the process of making these tops for it.
Hey, so I mean that sounds like a whiskey venture. So
I
we need to
think
go
it's-
up through what you said in
Shawn, Vermont.
well, yeah, but you get the tasting.
Well, all right, yeah, no, you're right. You have to do this
Like
like
a
multiple
stop off,
stops. So
right?
you have to stop off in Louisville, Kentucky. You have to visit the vaults.
Bang.
The
I
newest
know.
place, the
Okay.
newest place for us, yeah.
And then go up to Vermont.
Honestly, you should probably do it the other way around. You should go visit
Vermont
Vermont
first?
first. We have 3 tasting rooms in Vermont, one of course being our farm. We are a closed distillery though, however, so you have to be a friend of the brand.
Yeah,
Hint, hint.
you're invited.
Then
You know a guy.
Yeah, then we have Stowe and BT. From there, then you go to Kentucky because that's like part of our story.
Right.
Snout and Tail is 88 proof because it's 880 miles away from like WhistlePig.
Yep.
By the way, the pig walks, which is why it took us so long to get there. But that way you kind of follow the story of WhistlePig. So it's going from our rye origins of Vermont, we're moving into the single malt world, and then we're coming into it.
We have to go in the fall though, so we can see the leaves change.
Oh, of course. Of course. No, like,
That's why, again, you're in Florida.
Right.
Right. That's the thing. So I'm from Buffalo.
North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Okay,
Oh.
Yep.
So
Oh,
that's
so you
what-
guys can come up whenever. You guys
Yeah.
are good.
Yes. We're
but
good with it.
that's the thing that I missed the most is the fall.
Yeah.
The leaves changing.
Listen, last week of September, first week of October.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
usually the money.
All right. So then that's what's coming up next year, right?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
I'll see you then.
See you then.
Let's wrap this up.
Yep.
'Cause they got
They got people wanting
people
to come
wanting
in
to
the
come
door.
in.
Oh, geez.
We can
All
put
right.
them at the end of the bar.
Yeah. So cheers again, special
Cheers again,
editions, right?
Special edition.
Yeah.
You know, to the Boss Hog number 12.
Yep.
You know, Feather and Flame. Very unique. Very interesting.
Thanks again to Corks
Yes.
and Barrels for letting us come out and take part of their day.
Now let's help them make money.
Yeah, that's
Cheers.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
Whiskey and a
Fantastic. Mm.
Listen, I'll close the whole place down. We sit here and drink those all day.
We will definitely let you have some, by the way.